All right, so we are going to go ahead and introduce our program. Today, Dan Birmingham, who works with me at the Area 1 Agency on Aging, he does a lot of different things there. He also, he's not officially our tech person, but he knows a lot of tech, which is why he was doing it for us today, which I really appreciate. So Dan's going to talk to us about a program that we're running at the Area Agency, or a service we're trying to get going, and see how you can get involved. All right, so Dan, let me put
Oh no.
that. I'm using the mouse, and that's what happened.
Well, you're not in the presentation.
There we go.
Second out.
There you go.
Great, thank you, Maggie. So hello everyone, again my name is Dan Birmingham, Area 1 Agency on Aging. Very quickly at A1AA, we serve older adults in Del Norte and Humboldt counties. And in a nutshell, we help older adults in those counties to live independently or age in place and provide a variety of direct services. And if you want to know more about that, of course you have a member who is in A1AA, so I'll always ask her if you have any questions more about A1AA. So one of those services we provide to help fulfill our mission is a new service that we've started called the Homesharing Support Services Program, or for short, it's nicknamed as the NEST. So a little bit of framing as to why we felt like this would be a good service is we acknowledge as an agency that there is a housing crisis happening in Humboldt County and throughout the country, and this could be one of the multitude of options to help alleviate that crisis. Not just a shortage of affordable housing, but also there are people who, we have a rising cost of living, but not, the incomes and the benefits, especially for older adults, is not matching that. So there's a crisis there. They might not be without a home, but they're just living on that edge. So a home sharing program might help that. So briefly, what is the NEST? And so this is my definition here, would say support service of the Area 1 Agency on Aging to help with the creation and maintenance of home sharing arrangements. So that is the goal of that program, is to help support our community in creating and maintaining sustainable home sharing arrangements. And I came up with this little tagline, we're helping our community prepare to share. So that's what I want you to think about as I talk more about what we're doing with the home sharing program. We're helping people to prepare to do this if they feel like that's something they might want to explore. We have gotten lots of calls in the past. I'm the information and assistance manager, so we get lots of calls of a variety of questions, and one of the frequent ones has been, I have an extra bedroom in my house, I'd like to rent it out, I'd like to share it with somebody, what do I do? And in the past, I was like, I'm not sure, I can direct you here, I can direct you there. So getting lots of those calls, I felt like that this would be could be a good solution for some people in our community. Okay, so a bit more about what is home sharing. I'd like to share at least two main points. One of them is that home sharing is when two unrelated people live together in the homeowner's house in exchange for rent, services, or a mixture of both. So an emphasis that this is for people who are homeowner occupied homes, and that's where it might be a bit different than a typical rental situation where you have roommates renting from a landlord who lives wherever else. This is a bit different than that. This is to help to benefit the homeowner who is in that home and owns that home. The other point is it focuses on sharing common living areas like the living room, kitchen, while both having separate bedrooms. So that emphasis on sharing. So there's that exchange of sharing within the home, and that's an important part of home sharing. Few definitions that we can use to help get a common language around this. The first one being a homemate. So a homemate would be a person that you like and respect, whose way of living is compatible enough that you are comfortable living together. So of course I emphasize enough because we're never going to find anybody that's exactly compatible with us. There's always going to be something. And I think that also is important because we might be thinking as a community or as a society, well, I'm at a certain point in my life where I don't feel like I could let somebody into my home and share with them. I'm set in my ways in some ways. And I would encourage everyone to challenge themselves. I feel like we all have a capacity to be flexible, to accommodate these things, to be accommodating to each other. And it's just a matter of being willing to do that and having that capacity to do that. And that's one of the things we're doing as a home sharing support program. So a home provider is a homemate who is making their house available to live in. So I'll be using that term, home provider. And then home seeker is, of course, the homemate looking for a place to live. Some benefits to being a home provider or home seeker, or just the community as a whole. So, of course, as the home provider, the person who's living in that home, who owns that home, it could provide a little additional income for them. It could help with the costs of living that are rising, but their incomes are not. It could help with a little additional help around the house, so such as maybe some chores or transportation, or help around the yard, or things like that. It's again, it's an intentional process that people are sharing, that those homemates are sharing within the home, sharing those responsibilities. It could provide some security for the home provider as well. If they're living alone in their home, it could provide some security to have somebody else around if something happens, or if they need to leave. You've got almost a built-in home sitter for your house too. So that could be another great benefit for a home provider. And of course, companionship is another great benefit of that as well, having somebody else around to interact with. We are social beings, and so it's great to have somebody around that you can interact with on occasion. We're not saying that you have to have lunch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, and that you do everything together, but it's just a matter of you have somebody around, you're going to at least say hi, and so that's some companionship, and that's some social interaction there as well. Home seeker, very similar benefits. It can provide an affordable housing situation for a home seeker because there's this expectation that people are sharing. There's also that expectation that the market, or that the rent or the services are going to be a bit lower than market rent. You're not paying for a place to have all by yourself. You're sharing those expenses. So it could be a little bit more affordable for somebody who needs that. Mutual support. So not only is the home provider getting help, well, of course, the home seeker, the other homemate in the home could also get some assistance from the home provider. It's a sharing situation. And then, of course, that companionship, and that's the overlap, again, between benefits for home providers and home seekers. So some benefits to the community. It can reduce the need for costly long-term care options. So for home providers, we're really kind of, as the Area 1 Agency on Aging, we're targeting older adults. And as I said earlier, we do want to support seniors to be able to live in their homes as long as possible. And this could be a way to do that and help to reduce to help them to be able to remain to live in their homes instead of going to a long-term care situation, which is vastly more expensive than being able to have someone come into your home and help around with those things and to live together. And it's efficient. It's an efficient way to provide housing. So we're using this model of housing is using existing housing stock instead of building new buildings, which is another good solution, but we can only build so much, and we only have so much space to build. This is a way to use our existing resources as a community to provide more housing. So it's a very efficient way of providing new housing. And it preserves that social fabric. So by helping each other out, by doing a home sharing situation, this helps to help people to remain living in the communities that they're living in. They're not priced out of it. They're not, this gives them the resources they need to be able to stay where they have lived for so many years instead of, I can't afford to live here anymore, I have to move. And of course, there's a lot of ramifications of that as well. So it's another good benefit to the community for a home sharing type of model. So who should consider home sharing? I talked about it a little bit already, but of course owner-occupied homeowners who have an extra bedroom in their home. People who are spending a large portion of their income on housing, again, this could be a good option for them to consider. Persons who can live independently and value community. So we're talking about people who can live independently and who do value that sort of interaction, value having that type of community. And so this could be appealing to seniors, as I said, as home providers, but also as home seekers. To students as well, we acknowledge that HSU is also having a housing crisis. There's not enough housing for students for there, and that could be a good option as well for students. And of course, anybody who feels like this could be a good option for them. It's not restricted to one population or one age or another. It's something that has been going on for a long time and can continue, and this is just an idea that we want to bring back into the public consciousness as we see that housing crisis and we see that people need some assistance in their homes. And then one more point I want to make on this too is home sharing is generally not intended to replace medical services. So again, there's this expectation that each homemate can live independently and that they're not providing medical services to each other. It's also not necessarily meant for emergency housing. This is a very intentional process, as you might assume, that you really take some time on finding someone who you're compatible living with before you live with them. And then also taking time to talk out every little scenario or your fears or anxieties, all that, taking that time to do that before you move in, because then that, of course, reduces the likelihood that you'll have to get into that situation that I'm sure you're all feeling, the elephant in the room, like, well, what if I have to kick this person out or evict them? So by taking that time to be intentional, to have that intentional process beforehand, that helps to reduce that. And then also talking about, talking with the other person, what do we do if how do we do this process if it comes to the point where we have to talk about you leaving? What does that look like? Why can't we talk about that beforehand to help reduce that or be prepared if that does happen? A few types of home sharing arrangements. So of course, rent and services or a combination. So rent, they pay a set amount of money to the home provider. Services, again, could be a rent-free room or a reduced rent for services such as transportation, cooking, laundry, errands, those sorts of things, but non-medical types of services. And then a combination can be done as well. What I think is really appealing about home sharing is that it's flexible and not all two home sharing arrangements look alike. It really could be customized down to the letter about what it looks like for each person. I think that can be very exciting for this type of thing. It's really tailored to those people who are doing it. So some things that we ask everyone to think about if home sharing is in their future. That's what I mean by this intentional process. Thinking about how willing are they to be flexible and accommodating. How comfortable are they with change. What would be some of the house rules? That's something definitely to think about ahead of time. And of course, who would I like to live with? Making that list of who would I feel like I might want to live with. And then also being flexible as well, being compatible, having that capacity to be flexible if you don't find that person who exactly fits your list, because it's very unlikely that'll happen. And then some other things that we encourage everyone to think about is talk with your professionals. So you haven't heard me talk about anything about insurance or income or legal, stuff like that. That is for the professionals to address, so we encourage everyone who wants to do home sharing, whether they're the home provider or the home seeker, to always talk to your insurance agents, to talk to your accountants, to talk to those people about it first, to really talk with them to see how this might impact your life in those ways, to be prepared for that. So this is one of the tools when I said that we're helping people prepare to share. This is one of the tools that we're connecting people to. There are other options out there. There are things that have been done. Of course, people can use classifieds or put notes up or put flyers up to find a homemate. But this is an option that has been used throughout the country. It's called Silver Nest. silvernest.com/redwoods. And so this website provides a service of homemate matching. So you join this website and you fill out with a very base level about what you're looking for, who you are, what your preferences are, that sort of thing, and then it does its magical algorithm, and then it matches you with somebody in that area who you might be compatible with to help you then start that conversation. It also does background screening and those sorts of things as well. So we do encourage everyone to use this. Again, we're providing tools to help people prepare to share, but it's not required. But we do encourage everyone to use it to help to create a sustainable home sharing arrangement. Another resource is the Sharing Housing Guidebook by Anna Marie Kluhard. This came out in 2011, so it's been out for a bit, but it really is a very accessible, thorough book on how to home share. So we're definitely encouraging everyone who is interested to check out that book. On her website, she also has webinars that she provides, workbooks, worksheets, stuff like that as well. So this is another resource, another tool that we're connecting the community to. And then something that you can do if you're interested in any capacity, yeah, maybe right now, later, sometime, I don't know, whatever your degree of interest might be, on Sunday, this coming Sunday, September 16th, we're doing a home sharing snack and chat. So this is, as the name implies, we want it to be a comfortable, fun place where people can come and to snack on some food and chat, talk with each other about what home sharing might look like, what their concerns might be, asking questions of each other, asking questions of me, connecting people to those resources we talked about. So it's really a social gathering. It's a community event, and that'll be on Sunday at the Arcata D Street Neighborhood Center. It's 1301 D Street. And Sunday from 5 to 7. So everyone is welcome. Again, whatever your capacity might be or your interest might be in home sharing, or if you're not interested but you have experience home sharing or doing something like that, I'd also encourage you to come because those are good experiences to share with others who might be thinking about doing something like that. And then other resources you can find on our website at a1aa.org/homesharing, or give me a call at A1AA. And there's my contact information. That's my presentation.
We have a couple minutes for questions if anyone has any question or comment.
What's the ideal situation? Is it better, in your experience, is it found to have a senior that is the home seeker or the home sharer? If this is really about the benefit to seniors, what's the better situation?
Well, I think for that, I mean, again, like I mentioned in my presentation, that in ideal situations, whatever works well for you, whatever works well for the person engaging in home sharing. So that's, yeah.
I mean, obviously for the senior looking for housing, that's a better arrangement. I mean, it's very personalized, but, and it could be both. I mean, you know, what we're trying to do is help people match up and help people find other alternatives for housing, because there's a lot of housing stock that is being lived in by one or two people that is a house that had children in it. And we have a lot, and they're not moving, and there's a lot of reasons that we don't leave the homes that we raised our kids in, but it's a problem because there just isn't enough. So we thought, well, if you have space and you might be worried, I mean, I know people who the kids don't live here, the older parent is living here alone in the home, they worry what happens if she falls at night, all these different things, and if there was somebody living there who isn't a caregiver, but is a roommate that would hopefully, like any of us at any age, if we fall and bump our head, we hope our roommate's going to do something. So having that extra, for some people, that might be the biggest thing and there may not be a whole lot of interaction, but at least there's someone there. So it's really individualized. I do happen to know that listening to Dan speak, I'm thinking that I'm going to move in with Bob and Susan. Because
There's another room, me too.
So I mean, you know, so it's not even, you know, we're all there. I mean, we're all, you know, at the place where either we might be looking for housing or we may have space. I mean, it's an option. So we'll talk.
Okay. that brings up a worry of mine. I was wondering if there have been any problems with changing the complexion of a neighborhood when the seniors are up partying all night.
Well, I know that your house is known for that. There's another question.
Yes.
How successful has this program been? How many housemates have you matched or have been matched in Humboldt County? Is it being utilized?
Well, we're still working on that. It's very much we need to get this out into the community and make people aware of it and bring it back into the public consciousness. By that I mean it's something that has been done for a long time in the past, like since the 60s and 70s, but fell out of favor, and it's back now. And so we want to be able to make that as an option to people. To answer your question about how successful has it been, we're taking a bit of different approach where we're not doing the matching. We're preparing people to share. So it's really up to them to do the matching. So we're not necessarily enrolling people in a certain program right now. We might do that in the future if we have the resources for that. But we're just making this as an idea that people can use and providing them those tools to do it if they want to.
Are there age parameters like that prevent people from being the house provider or the house?
Adults.
Yeah, over the age of 18.
I can give a little testimony, not personally, but I know 2 senior citizens, each of whom lost their mate died, and just as companionship, they opened their house, I think in both cases to students even, and generally, you know, there's some challenges at times, but generally it worked well for them, gave them companionship, really, first and foremost.
I appreciate you sharing a positive story. Often, the first thing that comes up is the scary stories, and I encourage everyone to think that as many of those, there's those one scary stories. There's 9 or 10 other great stories as well.
So, and the other thing about Silver Nest, if you go on and look, they're pretty active in Denver, in Colorado. So that is as successful as people who get on it, obviously. So one thing we're trying to do is encourage people, if they're all interested, to get signed up with Silver Nest, so that when people are looking, it's another mechanism for finding it. But you have to build the housing stock. So we're out trying to, before we get everyone looking for a room, we need to have rooms. We need to encourage homeowners to put themselves out there. Yeah, John.
So there are statistics about how many empty houses there are and such. Is there any kind of measure on capacity in existing homes? I mean, does anybody know how many people are living alone in a 3-bedroom house?
Well, there are ways to get the stats on how many people are living alone, but then you'd have to cross-reference it with who owns the home ownership thing. So I don't know. But I mean, I know in my side gig, but also my work at the area agency, a lot of the seniors we work with are living alone. And social isolation is a huge issue for not just, quote, seniors, whatever that means, which I think seniors is always 5 years older, 10 years older than you are, but it's something that people, even in their 40s and 50s, because of the way we do social media and a lot of different things, more and more people are socially isolated, and they go to work, but they may not. It's interesting what's happening. So this is another way to kind of bring people back together a little bit. We, of course, are not socially isolated because we're all here. So thank you. If you have more questions, you can ask Daniel.